I slipped into the otome game and joined hands with the awakened male protagonist, because I will go uncontrollably. The male protagonists regard me as the only savior. Until one day, I fell off my horse, and the shore field turned into real hell in seconds. One I wore into an otome game I played before my death, and I also dressed up as a passerby. On the same day, 5 transfer students came to the class. 4 of them have identical chestnut long straight hair, and the other is a dazzling highlight with big waves. This hairstyle comes from the prestigious 168 yuan fashion gift package, which I recognize, because I also bought it. Everyone has traveled through time. Why am I the only one who wears a little transparent? Am I not Krypton enough? What's even more outrageous is that no one in the class felt abnormal, and they chatted about, "She is so beautiful." The teacher clapped his hands and motioned for everyone to be quiet. Okay. Please introduce yourself to the new classmates. The first girl with long chestnut hair lined up. She looked at her expectant classmates, showing an embarrassed, distorted, crying expression. "Hello everyone, I'm your father, very nice to meet everyone." Poof. I quickly covered my mouth and tried not to smile too obviously. I began to be glad that I didn't dress as a heroine, because my game ID was the same as her, and my name was Dad. Next, Party A, Asamolioli and Ying Ying introduced themselves respectively, and then it was the turn of the colorful hair. "Hello everyone. I am Qin Ziyan's wife." Who is Qin Ziyan? The most popular male protagonist in this work, a cold scholar, and an all-round beaking. At this moment, he was sitting next to me. Hearing this name, the corners of Qin Ziyan's mouth twitched, and a toothache expression appeared on his perfect face. I couldn't hold back anymore and laughed out loud. Qin Ziyan looked over meaningfully. "Have you awakened too?" "Too also?" "What?" After a few minutes, he pushed over a handwritten note. "The world we live in is a game. These 5 people are players, and they will attack several male protagonists, including me. Once successful, the game is over and we start from the beginning." He actually realizes that he is an NPC. I looked at him incredulously. Qin Ziyan nodded and wrote, "To be precise, this world is a dead cycle. In order to break this cycle, I took advantage of the game update to hold a few players hostage, so that even if the producer found a problem, he would not dare to easily revert." "How many players are held hostage? Are you the male protagonist or the villain?" I said how to open this standalone game with a big reward, and 5 heroines came at once. I asked on paper, "How do I break the cycle?" Don't let them succeed in conquering any male protagonist. Survive all the plots that have been set, and we will be free after the Christmas ball. The Christmas ball is the ending node of this game, and several male protagonists will confess to the female protagonist on this day, and I was attracted to this game at the time, because the ending CG was too gorgeous. I end the game. Qin Ziyan is an iceberg character, who knew that this kid was rebellious, and there was such stormy waves hidden under the glacier. Turning his head, the sunlight outside the window cast a shadow on Qin Ziyan's handsome profile. His complexion was very white, and his eyes were indifferent, making it impossible to guess what he was thinking. But when those eyes looked at me, they were dazzling with an eager smile and unruliness. He treated me as his own and wanted me to stand on the opposite side of the player and help the NPCs get rid of their fate and have a future. And I have always been a rebellious girl who gives teachers and parents a headache. Lest the world be chaotic, now that a whole job opportunity is in front of you, is there anything more fun than this? I smiled at Qin Ziyan. "Okay." He asked, "What is your name?" Although I am a little transparent, it is too much to know what the same table is called, right? The point is, I don't know what my name is. I hurriedly rummaged through my bag and saw a student card. It turned out that my name was girl number 23. Qin Ziyan, 3. To be honest, it is quite difficult not to let players succeed in the strategy. According to Qin Ziyan, the plot that has been set is destined to happen, and the plot of otome games is all for the warmth of feelings. This is a gentle trap specially tailored for the male protagonist, and the whole world is assisting. Even if Qin Ziyan is determined, can other innocent young men control it? After class, I went straight to the school basketball court. If I remember correctly, this is where the heroine and another male protagonist first met. The basketball court was already surrounded by girls, and where their eyes were focused, a handsome guy in a white jersey jumped up on the spot and shot a 3-pointer cleanly. The hem of the jersey rises slightly with his movements, revealing a small piece of well-shaped abs. The cheers and screams were deafening, startling me when I just arrived. Yushao had a confident smile on his face, and the whole person was calm and dazzling, as if he had long been accustomed to enjoying such attention and cheers. The ball returned to his hands, and Yushao handsomely dribbled the ball around a person, then turned around and passed the ball to his teammates, but the basketball drew an arc and hit the heroine passing by unbiasedly. According to the original plot, this Yushao's beloved basketball with the signature of the star will wipe the heroine's face and fall to the ground, and then be stained by the paint she knocked over, causing the two to form a beam and take the route of happy enemies. But at this time, the 5 heroines came in a group, so the scene gradually became outrageous. I saw that Yushao was like an emotionless serving machine. As long as the painted basketball leaves his hand, it will steadily smash into the face of the next heroine, and it will stop after smashing 5 times. Basketball has also been completely unrecognizable after 5 rounds of paint. Yushao looked suspicious of life. At the same time, the onlookers exclaimed 5 times in cooperation, and the picture was very ghostly. Ha 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 ha. I have no other shortcomings, just a low laugh. Unfortunately, the onlookers fell silent at this time. Therefore, my laughter was as abrupt as the first rooster crowing at dawn. During the serve, Yushao, who gradually became irritable, frowned and hooked my hand. Come here. I covered my face and wanted to run away. He raised the basketball in his hand and aimed it at me, his eyes threatening. I squatted down on the spot with my head in my hands. Yushao walked over a few steps with long legs and grabbed my arm. What's going on? I tentatively said, what's going on? Are you out of control? The word out of control hit him, and Yushao scratched his red hair irritably. Only you laugh, you must know something. It's quite sharp. But at this time, the 5 heroines were getting closer and closer, so I had to talk nonsense. Are they more attractive to hatred? Heroines, Yushao sneered, and the hand holding my arm used a little force. You should know the end of pretending to be stupid. Fortunately, Qin Ziyan suddenly appeared at this time and pulled away the hand that Yushao had grabbed me. Yushao quickly grabbed him with his backhand and raised his voice. It seems you know. They are both influential figures in the school, and although the two do not deal with each other, they obviously know each other. Qin Ziyan looked light, leaned into his ear and said a word. Yushao raised his eyes and said angrily, no, I want to know now. After saying that, he pulled Qin Ziyan out of the crowd and ran away. The onlookers were in an uproar. The photo of the scene was posted on the school forum, and the title was very terrifying. See you for a long time. Yushao Qin Ziyan whispered intimately, held hands and left. From beginning to end, the 5 heroines are perfectly invisible and have no names. The direction of things seems a bit strange, but at least it proves a few things. 1. Yushao has also awakened. 2. As Qin Ziyan said, the plot is destined to happen, and NPCs cannot go against it. 3. NPCs will take back the initiative after completing the plot, and the result is uncontrollable. It's really interesting. At this time, Qin Ziyan, who was forcibly pulled away by Yushao, sent me a message, come to the rooftop. For when I arrived at the rooftop, they seemed to have finished talking. Yushao's eyes were dull against the red-haired eyes that were scratched by him, and he looked like he was halfway through sleepwalking and was woken up by 18 slaps. I asked, he can't accept it. Qin Ziyan said, no, his IQ is relatively low, and he needs to react for a while. This sentence successfully turned on Yushao, and he jumped up. Who do you say has a low IQ? I couldn't help but laugh and remembered that the player gave him the nickname Husky. Yushao's eyes turned to my face. Are you the other teammate? He said. Me? Hello, my name is girl number 23, you can call me Xing Xing. What is this broken name? Yushao was speechless. I kind of believe that we are in a game now. Since he did not experience a cycle like Qin Ziyan, Yushao was more optimistic. He suggested. Leave it to me, and I'll kick them out of school. Qin Ziyan poured cold water. It's useless. The heroine's father sacrificed for righteousness and courage, and when necessary, this matter will be turned out to dominate public opinion, and they can't be kicked out of school. Then it's okay for me to hide from them, right? Yushao suddenly remembered, but their faces are like the chattering Zhongfei. I don't know what they look like. Are you polite? So who smashed them into Zhongfei? Ziyan smiled bitterly. You can't avoid it, you can't decide where you will meet them. Then you help me hold her down. I can always run a little farther. That's right. Ziyan looked at me. Xing should be a gift from God, and it is the biggest variable in this game. What I said made it feel like I was a strong woman, and I wanted to save the innocence of the princes from the hands of 5 female perverts, but the prince was still tied up with his hands and feet. And the pressure was great. Yushur enthusiastically set up a group on the spot, and pulled Ziyan and me in. From today onwards, we will formally form an alliance, and change our lives. System. Sure Yi changed the group name to Awakened Alliance. Qin. Tai's Hong is the second. System. Xing changed the group name, Walk Every Day. Qin. Okay, Shuoi. Sure Yi. Ziyan. I think you are targeting me. 5 soon, I was giving it a try. This day was the first encounter between the heroine and Ziyan. I am the sun at 3 o'clock in the autumn afternoon. The beautiful girl was holding a book in the corridor, and crashed into the arms of the iceberg scholar. In order not to let her fall, he reached out and hugged her waist. Looking at her shy little face, Shueba's calm mind made waves for no reason. Since then, his life has been mechanically precise, with misaligned gears and chaos. Everything is beautiful. And the male and female protagonists appear at opposite ends of the corridor. This time, the woman's camp did not adopt the tactics of the crowd, and sent Ziyan's wife to take the lead, and your father did a warm-up exercise behind her, and was the next player to take over. The two are getting closer and closer. At this time, I ran past Ziyan with lightning speed and stuffed something into his hand. Classmate, help me get it. That's the riot shield I borrowed from the doorman. When I passed by the wrong side, Ziyan looked at me, and a smile flashed in his dark eyes. Translated. It should be it's a shame you can think of it. At this time, Ziyan's wife has entered the plot trigger area, and the beautiful girl hit the shield with her fancy hair, and then slid on the ground, letting out a sincere whoosh. Ziyan stood behind the riot shield, like a high-ranking star, and politely and alienated the original lines of the plot. Classmate Qin, are you okay? Ziyan's wife, her eyes turned red. Can you call my full name once? Ziyan looked indifferent. I'm sorry, I didn't remember. The other heroines behind her calmed down for a while, and none of them dared to step forward. Wonderful. Yushur, who hid in the corner with me and watched the whole process, smiled and bloomed. He put his arm around my shoulder. Reliable, brother's integrity depends on you. Can you keep it monthly? Ziyan was in a good mood and came to meet us with a shield, but frowned when he saw us hooking up shoulder to shoulder. He put the riot shield into Yushur's arms expressionlessly. You go and pay it back. Yushur jumped up. Why do you want me? Ziyan said coolly. Don't you want to know your next plot? 6 I lay on the railing in a daze, and many students walked past me giggling. They discuss what to eat for noon. Or idles on the new powder. Except for the bugs and things related to the heroine, it does look a lot like the real world. Suddenly, I heard a somewhat familiar voice. Something is wrong. Sisters, please see, this is a review PPT I made. The heroines are having a meeting in an empty classroom. Since NPCs are not paid attention to at all, the front and back doors of the classroom are not closed. I decisively stood at the back door and eavesdropped. The one who preached the PPT on it was Party A. Inexplicably, our first goal is of course to go home. According to my speculation, as long as we successfully attack the male protagonist, the game will automatically end, and we will be able to go back. She talked eloquently, but there is a problem. It was originally 4 male protagonists chasing 1 female protagonist, but now it has become 4 to 5. In a standalone game, it is easy for us to have bugs together, which will make the male protagonist disgusted. Such as the basketball court. As soon as the PPT page turns, the words strategy plan appear on the big screen, Party A. So my suggestion is that everyone chooses a male protagonist strategy. I've already played the game once, and this time it's for the new male protagonist in the DLC, so I want to pick him. Do you have any opinions? I was secretly shocked when I heard it. There are masters on the opposite side. Know the plot, clear thinking, and clear goals. She also mentioned the 4th male protagonist in the new DLC, compared to 3 when I played it before. In other words, there is a new male protagonist that players know but Ziyan and I don't know at all. It's like a bomb that doesn't know where it's hidden, which is a bit of a hassle. Party A's proposal caused some controversy, and Qin Ziyan's wife asked, if everyone wants to choose the same person, who should they choose? Your father disagreed. It's hard to wear an otome game, of course. You have to enjoy 4 handsome guys chasing me at the same time. Why should you only choose one? The meeting broke up unhappily. Only Party A and Ying, who has never had a sense of existence, are left in the classroom. Ying comforted her. I support you. I'll choose the rest. After disappearing for so long, my parents must be worried about dying. I really want to go home. Party A said in a muffled voice. The project that has been working overtime for a month is about to be handed over to Party A's father. If you don't go back quickly, the year-end bonus will be gone, and I'm sorry for my team members. I couldn't help, but sigh. I originally thought that everyone came here after death, just like me, but they have relatives who are worried and things they want to accomplish. Even Qin Ziyan and the others have a future they want to achieve. Just me, nothing. So do you still want to stop them? I was shaken for the first time. 7 Yushor's next plot that needs to be rescued is in the cafeteria. Here he will be thrown down by the heroine. Yushor said that he would find a way to resist, but he really couldn't let me do it again. This person always has an optimistic spirit that does not die until the Yellow River. When I came to the cafeteria, the front was blocked. Looking closely, Yushor asked his little brother to hold hands in 2 circles, and he stood in the middle of the circle triumphant. This kind of formation is not uncommon in life, usually used for star security, and is often sprayed because of too much pomp. Big stars are still like this, and Yushor is naturally not immune. Not long after his bronze man formation was set up, he was violently cracked by the vice principal with security guards. Because it affected the order, the vice principal captured the thief and captured the king first. Holding Yushor's ears and jumping like thunder. It's Yushor again. You think where this is? This is the school. Let's go, write a check with me. Being captured by the vice principal means that the plot will change. Yushor showed him a bright and sincere smile. Okay, no problem. The vice principal has probably never seen someone so enthusiastic in the face of criticism, confused. Suddenly, the figure of the heroine appeared in the crowd. Probably Party A's proposal worked, and there were only 2 people who came this time, namely your father and Asa Molioli. Yushor seemed to see a ghost, panicked instantly, and began to search for my figure in the crowd with his eyes. I hesitated, silently hid behind a tall boy, and lowered my head. The next moment, Chien Molioli stepped on the vegetable soup that I didn't know who spilled it, and involuntarily flew forward. Your father followed closely behind. And the 2 lay on Yushor in a Jenga shape. And under Yushor, there was also a poor vice principal. The scene in front of me was miserable and funny, and I couldn't help but feel a little guilty. Aren't you here to help him? Why didn't it pass? Qin Ziyan's pleasant voice suddenly sounded behind me. 8 I found a secluded corner, and I will tell the truth about the meeting of the heroine group. Qin Ziyan waited quietly for me to finish and asked, you can't bear it, because they have their own lives to continue. So don't we have any? There was a faint emotion hidden in his dark eyes. I have lived for 20 years to be who I want to be, not to be trapped here, and become an option for other people's love. The most ridiculous thing is that they still treat it as a game and leave the moment they get a good impression. From the perspective of NPCs, it is indeed very cruel to repeat this process while staying awake. I couldn't help but whisper. I'm sorry. Qin Ziyan sighed, and his voice softened. Xing, do you have any goals in life? This sentence poked my lungs, and I replied stiffly, no. After my stepmother gave birth to my younger brother, I became a transparent person. From elementary school to junior high school, I did bad things at school, just for the sake of the teacher. When inviting parents, my dad could look at me twice and scold me a few more times. The end of being clever was that they were afraid that I would take bad brothers. So they rented me a room and asked the nanny to take care of me. I was still a problem girl in high school, but my grades were good. At that time, my younger brother made up 7 or 8 courses, and the scores added up to less than 250, and I worked so hard just to slap them in the face. After the college entrance examination, I also held my breath and filled in the school that was more than half of China away from home. If I had to summarize my previous life goals, it would be frustration, Probably God also felt that such a life was too a failure. So he used a disease to clean up the mess for me. I am even quite grateful for this illness. Unexpectedly, Qin Ziyan laughed when he heard this angry no. He said, I didn't have it before. Since I was a child, I was interested in something, and I was able to win a bunch of medals quickly, which led to me never thinking about what I wanted to do in the future. I have a reasonable suspicion that you are at Versailles. Qin Ziyan, I say this to tell you that it doesn't matter if you don't have a goal for the time being, and it doesn't matter if you change at any time. 70-year-olds can still learn to draw from scratch, and it is not too late to find out what they want to do in this life. So our lives should not stop at this Christmas. I often wonder how I ended my life like this. No one ever told me that there was nothing wrong with that. Somehow, I feel like crying, but I have long been accustomed to using smiles to hide my emotions. Ha ha ha, they all say you are cold. How can I think there are quite a lot of words? Qin Ziyan's gaze calmly crossed the corners of my red eyes, and looked into the distance as if he hadn't seen it. Maybe I was alone before, too lonely. The two walked side by side in silence for a few steps, and Qin Ziyan suddenly spoke. I know it's not the fault of those players, and I don't plan to keep them detained. In order for our lives to go on, is it okay to keep them for an extra hour after Christmas? Of course. I believe Qin Ziyan can do it. After all, he took the player hostage. He seems to be really like the legend, always strong, calm, and calm. 9 Finally, I followed Qin Ziyan to the classroom for self-study. Don't forget, they went home after Christmas, and you have to have final exams. Is it too late for me to regret it now? After reading the book for a while, you sure rushed in menacingly and condescendingly criticized us. Okay, you two are not saved, but you are actually studying here. Qin Ziyan ignored it directly, and didn't move his eyelids. It seems to have just comforted me patiently, but it is a rare drop. I coaxed you sure with a guilty conscience. I'm sorry, it's temporary. I think you have found so many people, it looks very safe. You sure snorted coldly, sat down next to me, and sandwiched me between Qin Ziyan left and right. He was angry for another minute, and then he couldn't hold back. They are so scary. It's useless for me to find so many people, and when they pounce on me, I can't move. He grabbed my arm suddenly. From now on, wherever you are and I will follow you, you must protect me. Qin Ziyan finally moved his gaze from the book to the hand that you sure was holding me. You sure is like a big dog with explosive hair outside. So cute that I can't help but want to reach out and touch his red hair. Ha 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 sure. You are 1.89 meters tall, rich and powerful, and have countless little brothers, and you are actually afraid sometimes. Why do you know him so well? Qin Ziyan suddenly asked. You sure answered, yes, you won't have a crush on me, will you? I scratched my head and smiled awkwardly. This kind of person of the moment is thunderous, everyone should know it, right? Oh? Qin Ziyan raised his eyes to look at me. Then I want to hear your evaluation of me. Gao Ling Shueba. Gone? Due to the lack of love since I was a child, I am not very interested in the high-cold type. When I was playing the game, I was entangled in the straight-ball school bully and the gentle teacher, and I didn't follow Qin Ziyan's branch line at all. And I didn't know him at all. You sure smiled. You said you didn't have a crush on me. I said seriously, well, I did investigate you. I originally planned to kidnap you with others, but because you were too good at fighting, I gave up. You sure? Qin Ziyan's thin lips were pursed, and finally showed a little smile. It had been 10 minutes since class, and you sure pushed the door in with a lot of things, and sat down next to me. Xing Xing, it's time for breakfast. The teacher on the podium glared at him. You sure leaned lazily on the table. What are you looking at? I'm here to take your class. Suddenly thinking that I might often rub classes in the future, I temporarily changed my tone. It's because you spoke well, go on. Young Master Yushuo's family was famous, and the teacher dared not speak out, and sure enough, he continued to speak. He had already inserted the straw into the soy milk, pushed it in front of me, and looked at me eagerly. It's hot. This person is like a large dog, and if you want to get close to anyone, you can't wait to show your tail for the whole world to see, even if he flatters me. It is to make me the queen mother in his emotional life. Yan, who was sitting on the other side of me, was taking notes, and his good-looking eyebrows furrowed slightly. I lowered my voice and approached Yushao. If you are so high-profile tomorrow, I will lock you and the 5 heroines in the same room and lock them up. Yushao shook, then made a gesture to seal his mouth and stopped talking. Suddenly, he began to move uncontrollably, snatched my paper and pen, and drew a pig's head with teeth and claws. Then he rolled the paper into a ball and aimed at Asa Jasmine not far away. What is this way for naive primary school students to attract attention? Throughout the process, Yushao's expression was both frightened and painful. Not like he was going to throw a small note to the girl, but like throwing a grenade at the enemy search team. This time, I reached out and intercepted the paper ball halfway. Yushao breathed a sigh of relief, looking at my eyes full of little stars. You are my god. 11 Yushao became my XXXL craft candy. In the original work, after he became interested in the heroine, he would deliberately meet the heroine on various occasions. Unfortunately, I am in the same class as the heroines. What's even more unfortunate is that Yan and I are also in the same class. As a result, the frequency of these two guys triggering the plot did not decrease, but increased, and they came and went. My fists are hard to resist 6 feet, and I can't stop them at all. The chaotic relationship between our group finally caught the attention of other students. And the hottest post on the campus forum was about discussing CP. I went to watch and found that they had a full 10 CPS to vote. Since the other 2 heroines take the initiative to stay away from the war zone, the CP is mainly a combination of the 2 male protagonists and Yan's wife, your father, Asa Molioli and me. Wait a minute. You sure Yan? Forget it. There is still a girl No.23, what's going on with your father? CP can be unpopular, but not evil. I stopped your father first not, because she was a stirrer and wanted to pounce on everyone. Yushao's younger brother read the legend on the internet and formed a group to visit his sister-in-law. When I entered the classroom, Yushao was playing Chen Molioli, Yan was patiently giving a lecture to his wife, and I hurriedly stopped your father. Sister, your hair color is good, what color is it? Your father was not convinced. Other sisters also have them, why just ask me? Yushao finally finished the plot, and as soon as he came back, he couldn't help but smash your father on the table. Yushao's younger brothers were stunned. The boss is the boss, and he has a lot of fun. Yushao's eyes were red with anger. Nonsense. 12I finally couldn't bear it anymore, and called Yan and Yushao to the rooftop for an interview. It can't go on like this. I feel like I'm being forced to do multiple choice questions every day, and I'll fall into the water with your mother to save someone. Yushao interjected. Save you. Get out. I changed my expression. To be precise, you 2 were tied to the tracks and let me decide which train to stop. As a result, 1 trip was stopped, but 2 other trips went towards you. The 2 unlucky guys who were tied to the rails laughed in unison, and even Yan smiled so much that his eyebrows and eyes were curved, which was particularly attractive in the sun. I got angry. Be serious. Let's get down to business. From now on, you 2 must keep your distance, and if you continue like this, you will really have to go back and start over. Then who are you following? I didn't answer, which was also a headache for me. Yushao is pitiful. I secretly charged 100,000 yuan in protection fees to your meal card. You can't ignore me. I gave him a roll of his eyes. Are you planning to let me eat in the school cafeteria for the rest of my life? I asked Yan. Why don't you avoid it? Yan had no emotion on his face, and said coldly, I am in normal classes in my classroom, and it is clear who is superfluous at a glance, right? That's right. Yushao patted Yan's shoulder and proposed. Why don't you go to me for 135, and 246 for you? I jumped up and gave him a shiver. Listen to what you are saying. What kind of tiger and wolf words is this? Yushao, a fool, hadn't reacted yet, but Yan's handsome face, which lacked the fireworks of the world because of too few expressions, had a suspicious blush. I can't see it. This ascetic iceberg knows quite a lot. Fortunately, this anxious situation quickly changed. A baker's dozen in order to participate in the national competition. Yushao's team had to train for a while, and I didn't have time to come over for the time being. So my pressure was slightly reduced. At the same time, Party A, who always sits in the corner of the classroom and watches the overall situation, begins to disappear frequently. I realized that the mysterious number 4 male protagonist appeared. As a newcomer to the DLC, number 4's identity may be a transfer student. Or he may not be at school at all. Sure enough, Chin Ziyan and I tried to follow the clues of Party A's investigation. As soon as she followed to the school gate, she was stopped by the doorman and watched her disappear at the end of the path at the school gate. NPCs in the game have a limited range of activities, and we should be confined to the school. I couldn't help but sigh. What to do? If Party A successfully attacks the number 4 male protagonist, our plan will also fail. Chin Ziyan stuffed a piece of strawberry milk candy into my palm, his eyes firm and gentle. You have done a good job. Don't worry, give me some time and I'll find a solution. I put the sugar in my mouth and looked up at him with a smile. Chin Shan 666. Chin Ziyan raised the corners of his mouth. The popular first male protagonist is well deserved. This smile melted away, and I heard the voices of several girls on the side of the road blooming from afar. Who is rumored to be an iceberg. 14 one night. You sure called me to go downstairs. The street lamp stretched his already long shadow longer. The red-haired boy lowered his head and kicked the stones at his feet without a single kick. Looking preoccupied, I ran over and patted him on the shoulder. What's the point of looking for your boss? His invisible tail wagged again, and a bright smile appeared on his raised face. Brother, can you have a late-night snack? As I followed him to the commercial street, I said, okay, how have you been training these days? Don't you know my strength? You sure held back, but still didn't hold back, and asked, I'm going to compete in Air City next week, can you go with me? The national competition that you sure participated in was half a month long, and had to go to several cities. In the original work, becoming a team assistant to accompany him can create a lot of exclusive memories, which is a great opportunity to brush up on favorability. I suddenly realized. Who signed up to be a team assistant? Lioli. After brushing the good impression for a while, you sure has involuntarily used a nickname for shallow Jasmine Lioli. I persuaded earnestly. You should be able to handle her alone, right? There are still 4 players left here. If I accompany you, what should we do if our house is stolen? You sure seemed to have anticipated this answer, and said sullenly, that's right, then I miss you. Can I call you when I want you to help? Of course. Before the words fell, a gentle male voice suddenly sounded behind him, you sure? My whole body froze, and after a long time, I turned around as if nothing had happened. Under the street lamp stood a handsome man with glasses, wearing a shirt and trousers, looking narrow and long-legged, with a completely different temperament from the students coming and going. At this time, it was rare for him to have no smile on his face, but I knew that once he smiled. He was as healed as the warm winter sun, the third male protagonist Lu Yuanjia, my former target. After wearing in for so long, Chin Ziyan didn't mention him, so I pretended not to know and tried my best to avoid meeting him, because Lu Yuanjia means so much to me. I have some good dragons for him. 15 In fact, Lu Yuanjia is not a professor, just a counselor. Because he knows the heroine's life experience, he often takes care of her intentionally or unintentionally. The producer's setting of Lu Yuanjia is a gentle and warm man, but he is a little too forceful, and as a result, this person likes to be nicknamed Male Mother. When I was in my 3rd year of high school, I lived in a rental house by myself, and my motivation to study was all based on a bad breath. No one encouraged me, no one expected me. So whenever I can't stand it or fight, I go online to find Lao Luguan chicken soup. I often play games night after night, parking the character next to him. Do the questions under his gaze. Click the mouse when you are tired, and listen to Lao Lu tell a few big words. As an NPC, Lao Lu is so good, always enthusiastic, always patient. He just went through a difficult time with me, but now, standing next to Lu Yuanjia is Yingying. In fact, I had long guessed that Yingying would go to find him who was picked and left, but when I saw this scene, I still felt a little uncomfortable. You sure? Why did you hit the girls in our class with a basketball? Still harassing in the classroom. Lu Yuanjia was polite even when questioning. You sure was a little confused. I didn't mean to. Smashed 5 people, each of them smashed in the face. Is it really not intentional? You sure reacted. Wait. Teacher, do you actually think it's unreasonable? Lu Yuanjia frowned when he heard this. Is this reasonable? Yu Shuo became excited. Do you feel? 2. I jumped up and covered his mouth. Pulled him away, and apologized. Knowing Teacher Lu, he really didn't mean it. I will definitely educate him well and will not do it again. Girl number 23. Lu Yuanjia called me for the first time in this world. I paused, but I couldn't help but look back. The street lamp hooked Lu Yuanjia with a warm yellow edge, and he looked directly at me with drooping eyes under the light, making me dream of many nights with him. Lu Yuanjia said bitterly. Girl number 23 classmate. Although the relationship problem is a private matter, the teacher still wants to talk more. To look for a boyfriend to keep your eyes open, not just look at your face. Also, polyamorous relationships, it's actually not very stable. I couldn't help but laugh. Even if he passes by a cat, Lao Lu will worry about whether he can survive the winter well, and it hasn't changed at all. I got it, Teacher Lu. The mood instantly improved. And I smiled and pulled Yu Shuo and ran away. After running for a while, Yu Shuo complained dissatisfiedly. Why don't you let me ask? He is obviously awake, right? He's also the male protagonist, right? Yes, but Lu Yuanjia is a good person with a strong sense of morality. If you don't tell him, he will always struggle with his teacher identity, and should not be with the heroine, and the 5 heroines are enough for him to struggle until the finale. Tell him that he will put aside all his worries to help them go home. I patted Yu Shuo on the shoulder. Don't doubt it. He is really the kind of bad person who is willing to sacrifice himself and take care of other people's moods. It seems that you really know him. A familiar voice sounded. I raised my head and saw Qin Ziyan passing by with a book. He looked straight into my eyes. It's like I talked to him. 16 at that moment. I was stared at by his cold gaze, and I felt like I was being pierced, discovered. Do you want to take the initiative to admit that you are a player? But the 2 guys in front of him, one saw the player as a ghost, and the other clearly expressed his rejection. I can't imagine their expressions when they find out they've been cheated. During this time, I got the companionship and need from them that I once wanted, and I really didn't want to make these 2 sad. Besides, who will help them get rid of their fate in the future? Thinking of this, I gritted my teeth. It's not like I've talked about it. It's just that I had unrequited love, and then I gave up. Qin Ziyan and Yu Shuo were stunned together. Yu Shuo was quiet for a moment and asked, why? I smiled. Lao Lu is the sun. I have been cold for a long time. I can't help but want to get closer. But the sun shines on everyone equally. And I can't change him selfishly. I think a flame of its own suits me better. These words are half-truths. I did play Lu Yuanjia's ending and knew the whole process of falling in love with him. But I also clearly know that my attachment to him is not love. In addition to the reason just mentioned, it is also because my ID is not properly built. Lao Lu has always called me dad before, and I sometimes feel that he is my father, and our dad closed loop relationship is particularly ethical and has nothing to do with love. Qin Ziyan's eyes darkened. He had always been confident and calm, and it was the first time I saw such an expression appear on his face. Yu Shuo said to himself, the sun, the flame. It turns out that Xing Xing likes warm men. Qin Ziyan hugged the book in his hand tightly, and his fingertips turned white from the force. He nodded at us expressionlessly. I'll go back first. Xueba has precious time. And it is normal for him not to be happy to have supper with us. I waved to him sideways. Okay, see you tomorrow. As a result, when I turned to such a side, I saw Lu Yuanjia and Yingying turning into a small road from a distance. The path leads to the beautiful Xingyue Lake, and also passes by the Lover's Slope, which is a mecca for dating on campus. Lu Yuanjia. I pointed at them and exclaimed, we have to keep up. Yu Shuo touched his nose and said in a depressed tone, can't you let it go? 17 No. Lao Lu, a moral pacesetter, cannot go to Lover's Slope alone with female students at night. They either improved by leaps and bounds, or it was something that Yingying used. In short, something was wrong. Qin Ziyan clapped. Let's go. We ordered you to swim outside and wait. Me. Your red hair looks like you're holding a torch. I'm afraid they won't know someone is following you, right? Yu Shuo had no choice but to find a bench on the side of the road and sit down. Qin Ziyan and I entered the Lover's Slope one after another, and although we were careful to hide it, we still startled several pairs of mandarin ducks. A girl complained to her boyfriend. Are you here to catch rape? Hey, this is not Chin Chin Chin. Chin Zian stopped, and I almost crashed into it. He took my hand without warning, then turned around and nodded at the girl. Sorry, first date, no experience. He lowered his head and whispered in my ear. It might need to be disguised, okay. Despite his calm appearance, Chin Zian's palms were so nervous that he was sweating. The atmosphere of lovers' po was already ambiguous, and I felt the temperature coming from his palm, and my heart actually beat a little faster. In order to hide this sudden guilt, I held him and said seriously. You are still witty. We finally approached Lu Yuanjia in a roundabout way by Xingyue Lake. They were standing in a small pavilion by the water. Lu Yuanjia asked. There is no one here. You said you were in a bad mood lately, what's wrong? Ying suddenly climbed onto a stool by the water and hugged the pillar. Teacher Lu, I like you. If you don't promise me today, I'll jump from here. Actually took advantage of Lu Yuanjia's character flaws. Despicable. Based on my understanding of Lao Lu, this method is definitely effective for him. Is this game going to have an early finale? No way. I also rushed up to the stool and hugged another pillar. Teacher Lu, I like you too. If you dare to promise her, I will die for you. Qin Ziyan, Lu Yuanjia, Ying, 18. Ying was furious. Why is it you again? Me. Are you allowed to play tricks alone? Ying, if you have the ability, you can dance. Me, come, let's die together. Lu Yuanjia frowned. You come down first, have something to say. But we can quarrel so much that no one cares about him as the male protagonist. Lu Yuanjia's persuasion was useless, and he asked Qin Ziyan with a broken face. Isn't she with you every day? How can she like me? This sentence was very heart-wrenching, and Qin Ziyan's face turned blue. I took the time to reply to him. Don't worry about this, anyway, I like you now, what's the matter? In terms of favorability, I am definitely not as good as Ying. But I also know that Lu Yuanjia will not let anyone be in danger. In order to show that I was broken, I even took a step back, tremblingly holding on to the pillar, and standing on the handrail from the stool. Unexpectedly, the wooden handrail fell into disrepair over time. So, I fell into the lake with a plop, and made a sinking boat myself. You are ruthless. He cursed, jumped off the stool, and left without looking back. I also cursed in the water. I don't want to fall in either. Help me. Lu Yuanjia was shocked and wanted to jump down to save me as soon as possible. But Qin Ziyan had already jumped into the water one step him and held me firmly. The moonlight cast sparkling light and shadow on his face under the reflection of the lake. The wet forehead hair was attached to his pale face, and there was a different charm than before. I choked on 2 mouthfuls of water and thought dizzily, this all-round beaking is so good at swimming. In the end, we were pulled ashore by Lu Yuanjia one by one. Thanks to Qin Ziyan's timely rescue, I was fine except for the 2 mouthfuls of water I choked at the beginning. Lao Lu's face was pale, and his white shirt was full of water and mud, although he was not as embarrassed as the 2 of us water ghosts. But it was not much better. He sank his face. Girl number 23. What do you think? Nothing can be a reason for you to joke about life. We must have a good talk today. Qin Ziyan held my arm and took me behind him. He said to Lu Yuanjia with a cold face. It's cold. Xing needs to go back and change clothes. I will persuade her well, so that teacher Lu doesn't bother. Also, in order not to provoke her further, I hope you will stay away from her in the future. Lu Yuanjia hesitated for a moment, and had to admit that he made sense. Okay, then I'll say a few last words. He passed Qin Ziyan and looked me in the eye seriously. I care about students as a job responsibility, and I'm sorry if this gives you the illusion. Girl number 23. I won't be with you. I won't choose Ying, never. You will go into the wider world and meet better people in the future. So, please don't waste your energy on me. 19. Lu Yuanjia had been walking for a while, and Qin Ziyan was still holding my arm, although he controlled the strength, so that it would not hurt me. But the whole person was tense. I could feel that he seemed to be angry. I looked up at him cautiously. Thank you for saving me. Qin Ziyan finally let go of his hand. Let's go. There was no word all the way. I feel ashamed. But why is Qin Ziyan? He had never seen such a crazy criticism of me in his life, and he was so shocked that he was afraid of me. The night breeze in late autumn was still very cold, and I couldn't help but shiver. Qinzian silently took 2 steps forward. In the second half of the journey, he kept walking in front of me to my right, blocking the wind for me in the upwind direction. You sure saw the 2 of us in the soup from a distance, trotting all the way and putting on my coat. What's wrong? I didn't want to recount this humiliating process, so I waved my hand. Don't worry about a small mistake. The point is that we have solved a serious problem. Lao Lu will never be attacked again. Yu Shuo looked at us suspiciously and asked, "Did you sink teacher Lu into the lake?" I probably, because my state was really not like a person who had just failed to confess and was looking for death. Qin Ziyan's expression finally loosened a little. He asked, "So you just to prevent future troubles? Otherwise?" Lao Lu believes it. Why do you believe it? But you said you had a crush on him, big brother. Is it still possible for me to make such a fuss with him? Although I don't have feelings for Lao Lu, I still have feelings, right? If he makes such a fuss, he will have to hide 800 meters when he sees me in the future. I have sacrificed so much. My teammates not only do not appreciate it, but also misunderstand that I am a love brain looking for life and death. Angry, Qin Ziyan reacted, and his frowning brows that had been frowning all night finally relaxed. He let out a sigh, and the whole person was bright. Yu Shuo was confused and hurriedly asked, "What are you talking about? What's wrong with Lao Lu? If I tell him this kind of humiliating thing, how can I be the boss for him in the future?" I quickly sent a message to Qin Ziyan. Tonight's matter is confidential. Qin Ziyan glanced at the mobile phone screen and curled the corners of his mouth. 20 after solving Lu Yuanjia, the search for the number 4 male protagonist was put on the agenda. Qin Ziyan suggested going straight to the point and chatting with the heroine. The strategy plan has been hindered to this extent. They can't think it's just a coincidence. However, after waiting for several days, I didn't catch the core figure of the heroine group party. We can only settle for the second place and talk to Qin Ziyan's wife and your father first. There is no way. If you drag it on, Qin Ziyan's first kiss will not be saved. That night, Qin Ziyan and I were on high alert in the playground. There was still some time before the 9 o'clock appointment with them. And Yu Shuo's call came first. This guy calls me every night, after he goes to play in other cities. It is necessary to do tasks separately, and it is necessary to communicate progress between teammates. So I took it without any hesitation. The wind on Yu Shuo's side was whining, and it sounded like it was also in an open place. Xing, Lioli confessed to me today. Unexpectedly, after Ying, Asamo Lioli also accelerated the progress. But also, the heroine who has crossed over has a high degree of freedom, and she doesn't have to just follow the plot set by the game at all. I asked anxiously. How did you answer? I said don't waste your efforts, I know you're a player. Unexpectedly, Yu Shuo had a showdown with the players at the same time. The surroundings were very quiet, and Qin Ziyan beside him should be able to hear the content of the phone. So I glanced at him and simply turned on the public broadcast. What then? She said she knew, but never took it all as a game. She really liked me and was willing to stay for me. Yu Shuo's voice was muffled. I was stunned. I never expected that among these players, there were those who came to play giggling, some who wanted to go home by all means, and some who were seriously in love. I persuaded him, Master Shuo, you must hold on, even if you agree, she won't be able to stay. Yu Shuo laughed a few times on the other end of the phone and muttered, how can you agree? I said I have someone I like. This response is good. Hey. He was quiet for a moment, his voice was softer than ever. Don't you ask who I like. Qin Ziyan's voice interjected abruptly, we still have something to do, so let's hang up first. Then he was in Yoshiro, why are you here, why are you together so late? In the midst of the noise, he reached out and swiped on my phone expressionlessly, and hung up the phone. The light was dim, and I couldn't see the specific emotions in Qin Ziyan's eyes. But with 2 months of contact, I could sense that he didn't seem very happy. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Qin Ziyan said, but they are already here. Sure enough, 2 heroines appeared in sight. I comforted him, it's okay, just call him back after you're done. For some reason, Qin Ziyan seemed to be even more unhappy. 20 and I stepped forward and intercepted the 2 of them halfway. Qin Ziyan stood in place, maintaining a safe distance where he could hear us speak without triggering the plot. Chinziyan's wife and your father have been a little messy lately. When I went to ask them to meet at night, they were dressed in fancy clothes and molesting passers-by. This scene is familiar. I played other games back then, and I didn't do the main quests, mining and fishing, collecting clothes, and taking photos with NPCs every day. I briefly talked about the situation, begging them to give up attacking the male protagonist and promising to send them home as soon as Christmas. The two were not surprised. Chinziyan's wife, I guessed a little bit. Me, her. When you find that their eyes are not very innocent when they look at you. She teased her colorful double ponytail. If it weren't for this, Chinziyan would definitely choose me, my dear wife. Chinziyan, I hurriedly explained. Actually, we are just teammates. They can't fight the plot, and they need my help to crack it. Your father, his eyes lit up and asked Chinziyan, really? Chinziyan glanced at me and nodded. Your father, hey, laughed. Then I'm welcome. Then he flicked his tongue and rushed out of the safe zone with an arrow. I'm blanched. Don't talk about martial arts, according to the plot. The heroine will fall with Chinziyan and kiss. Chinziyan has a sullen personality, and his emotional line is progressing slowly. It is really a very lazy approach for screenwriters to speed up the process through accidents. Lazy, but useful, and lethal. In order to protect Chinziyan's innocence, I didn't think about it, and rushed towards him. But Chinziyan's wife suddenly stretched out her hand and grabbed your father on the spot, and the two drew a semicircle like performing acrobatics, and threw your father back to the safe zone. Are you playing with me? Just play, so don't die. When she turned back, she tripped me. I stumbled a little while in the sprint, and like an ape man, who had just fallen from a tree, I rushed towards Chinziyan with both hands and feet and a strange posture, knocked him down headlong, and kissed him. No matter how dim the light was. So close. I also saw Chinziyan's pupils tremble violently. And then his whole face turned red. At this moment, my heart is extremely painful. It's like a delicate flower that has been cared for several months, deworming and watering every day. But I accidentally fell into the flower pot and sat to death. Evil. I hurriedly got up from Chinziyan. I'm sorry. It wasn't intentional. The two culprits over there laughed so loudly. Chinziyan's wife, help, KSWL. Your father, do you want to look at your name before talking? Chinziyan's wife, what does it matter? I still have a lot of paper husbands, and the CP I knocked is more than enough. Chinziyan and I were still relatively embarrassed, and we couldn't say a word. Chinziyan's wife smiled and waved to us. You two talk first, we go back, and then we will pay attention to keeping our distance from you. Your father added, according to what you said, whether it is party A or you succeed, we can go home. Then we will lie down obediently and wait for the big guy to take it away. The two real players walked away with a smile. Chinziyan and I looked at our noses and hearts, and the atmosphere was quite awkward. Chinziyan suddenly asked, what does KSWL mean? I decided to skip the topic. I'm really sorry today. Chinziyan looked at me with his eyes down, his eyes heavy. It doesn't matter. I did it on purpose. You are not a player, so of course you can dodge if you want to hide. 22. I wanted to talk about it after Christmas, but I'm sorry, I couldn't hold back. Chinziyan sighed, with a helpless smile in his tone. I'm afraid of being cut off. I didn't care about blushing just now. At this moment, I heard his breathy chuckle, but my face couldn't help but heat up. Being cut off means you are sure. In fact, I can feel the feelings of these two guys to some extent. But I have been running away. The foundation of the relationship is honesty, and my identity as a player has planted a big thunder early. Moreover, when the bug is fixed and everyone is in their place, can I exist in this world for their long lives? It is better to never start than to gain and lose. I waved my hand again and again. Ha ha ha. Don't follow them. I like Laoli, you know, crazy for him, and jumping on the big lake for him. You didn't. Chinziyan said. Then he pursed his lips tightly and stopped talking. Oh, I forgot. I explained it before to prove that I was not in love, but this reason cannot be used. So what excuse should I use? At this time, the clouds dispersed, and the moonlight fell lightly on Chinziyan's face. His eyes were gentle and sad. But he still straightened his shoulders and looked at me firmly, like a person who knows the end, but is still desperate and waiting for the verdict. The proud Chinziyan's sense of vulnerability rarely showed made my heart twitch. He is not a person who easily confesses his feelings, knowing that he is far from the son I like, but he still can't help but show his sincerity. At this moment, any joke is a blasphemy against this heart. I put away my smile and took a deep breath. I still have something I haven't told you. After Christmas, if there is still a chance, can I give you an answer? If I was still there, this is not a good answer, but it seems to have exceeded Chinziyan's expectations. He bent his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. Okay. Then he thought about it and joked. If you promise others before that, I will die for you. Who did you learn this from? Knowing that we had something to do, you sure didn't call us again. But sent countless messages in the group to ask. When I turned on the phone again, he had already swiped the screen. Chinziyan replied to him. Chin. I had a showdown with my wife and dad today, and they are willing to cooperate. Chin. Dad wanted to sneak up on me, and there was a little accident. And I kissed Xing Xing. The second sentence is not necessary. This guy said so much for the first time in a group. I don't know if I want to show off, or if I want to block the possibility of you sure continuing that topic. The group was silent for a full 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, Master Shaw. What is it? Brother has also been a little dad, Master Shaw. It's an accident. Don't take it to heart, Master Shaw. Xing Xing, you should be bitten by a dog, and when you come back, brother beat him up to vent his anger on you. Then he sent a Shiba Inu. GIF that was incompetent and angry and biting the cage. And then withdrew it and replaced it with an orangutan. JPG with a mace. Fortunately, you sure didn't let me guess who he liked anymore. 23 Under the leadership of Chinziyan's wife and your father, we finally met with Party A and Ying. The favorability of the two of them and Chinziyan is very low, and it can't trigger any key plot, but the four of us can sit together face to face. However, they are not so easy to talk to. Party A leaned on the back of the chair, smiling. After Christmas, the initiative is in your hands. How can I be sure that you will really let us go back? And you don't know who the new male protagonist is, but I am going well with him. No matter how you think about it, it's even more foolproof, right? Why should I cooperate with you? Chinziyan said coldly. Part of the plot must happen on campus. Even if you deliberately stop him, he will come. And you don't know, he has already come to the school to investigate you, right? I glanced at Chinziyan in surprise, not knowing if this was a speculation or true. Party A's face changed slightly. You are lying. Chinziyan's expression was calm. Mixed-race children are always more conspicuous. Party A turned pale and said dejectedly, how do you want to cooperate? Before Chinziyan could speak, the silent Ying on the side broke out first. The only way to go home was to regenerate twists and turns, which made her a little unacceptable for a while. She stared at me viciously, cursing with tears. I don't understand. Everyone is a player. Why do you have to stop us from going home? Just to satisfy your desire to pretend to be an NPC, and let the male protagonists around you. You are sick. You are willing to stay in this hellish place. Don't pull me in. The thunder exploded, and it was caught off guard. I looked at Chinziyan in a panic. Confess or argument? What do you want to say? My hesitation was seen by Ying. And she sneered sharply. Do you still want to pretend? I asked Lu Yuanjia. He didn't say a few words to you, but you can force him to ignore me in 2 sentences. Why do you know him so well? Why do you know him so well? Chinziyan also asked me this question at that time. Why didn't I tell the truth at the time? Now, it's all over. 24 Chinziyan turned to me. His gaze did not waver, and his tone was very soft. He asked, Xing Xing, are you a player? As if as long as I opened my mouth to deny it, he believed it unconditionally. But there are only 2 options for this question, and there is no room for me to explain. I swallowed my saliva with difficulty, and finally decided not to lie to him anymore. I am. Many complex emotions erupted in his eyes, but he quickly closed his eyes and covered everything with his trembling eyelashes, so fast that I didn't have time to catch it. When he opened his eyes again, Chinziyan put on his ice shell that rejected people thousands of miles away. You played well. There was a sneer on the corner of his mouth, and his eyes were cold. Then he stood up and swept his eyes over the few people in the room. I wish you all a good time. Chinziyan left without looking back. I chased after him, and could only see his back leaving on long legs. From mother to father, I have witnessed countless times the backs of many people getting farther and farther away from me, but I can only watch this parting happen in place. This time too. What's more, what about me? So you are a player. Chinziyan's wife and your father, who had been hiding in the corridor and watching the progress of the negotiations, jumped out and asked, "Then why are you helping NPCs?" Their appearance made me forcibly suppress the bitterness in my heart. I'm not used to crying in front of people. When I was bullied at school when I was a child, I knew that no one would come to save me, and tears and weakness could only make those people worse. I thought of Chinziyan and smiled, because I want them to take the final exam. Your father frowned and said, "Don't laugh, it's scary. What are you going to do now?" I thought for a while, continue to stop them from attacking the number 4 male protagonist. But Chinziyan must hate us to death now. Will he let us go? Yes. And he hates me, and he won't anger you. That person is calm and knows exactly what he is fighting against is the rules of the game, not the players. Since he hates that his life is controlled, he will not forcibly decide other people's lives. Chinziyan's wife sighed. It's really pitiful to be trapped in a loop and fall in love with someone you don't like. She handed me a pendant. Hey, this is the key prop to meet the new male protagonist Kurland. This pendant is hung by 5 players every day. I thought it was standard in the system, but I didn't expect it to have this effect. She stretched out her hand and hugged me. Come on. I can be single, and the CP I stand on must be he. 25 On the way back to the dormitory, I received a call from Yushore. Aren't you negotiating today? What happened? Why did Chinziyan withdraw from the group? I was stunned, and the bitterness in my throat spread. But just as Yushore remembers that we are negotiating with players today, I also remember that today is the final of his basketball game. It was a crucial moment for Yushore, and he couldn't be distracted at this time. I tried my best to comfort him. It's okay, it's going well. Chinziyan's side is a bit complicated. Wait for you to come back and talk about it in person. Yushore paused, and his tone was a little gloating. Quarrel. I interrupted him. Aren't you in the final today? Come on. Someone on the other end of the phone was already urging him to play. And Yushore hurriedly said in the noise, "Brother, get the championship back for you. I bought you a great gift for my plane tomorrow." I rubbed my eyes and pretended to be brisk. Really? That's great. When you come back, it will be another bloody storm. As an apology, I'll go and solve the male protagonist number 4 for them. 26 I only gave myself half a day to be depressed. Early the next morning, I hung my pendant and went out, and this time no one stopped me, walking into the alley where Party A had disappeared before. I had no clue. This is an ordinary commercial street in front of the university, with many alleys crisscrossing and extending, which looks very lively. But where do I start? When I was walking around an uninhabited alley like a headless fly, suddenly someone covered my mouth with a handkerchief from behind, and I didn't know anything. A campus otome game, and a kidnapping plot. I woke up in an abandoned warehouse. My hands and feet were tied, and I looked up dizzily at the person who woke me up. This eldest brother looks over 30 years old, with a long face and thick short eyebrows, and he has an ordinary appearance that cannot be found immediately when he throws it into the crowd. But his eyes are hostile. No wonder the clues of the number 4 male protagonist are so hard to find. It turns out that he looks so confusing. I tried to get close to him. Big brother, which country are you of mixed race? What about Southeast Asia? The eldest brother replied enthusiastically. Do you want to die? A chuckle sounded behind me, and a nice voice said, Sister, I am of mixed race. I looked back with difficulty and found that there was a tied person behind me. From this angle, you can only see a superior nose bridge and exaggerated eyelashes. But there is no doubt that he is a beautiful boy. 27 The kidnapper reached out and roughly tore off the pendant from my neck, strangling a thin blood stain around my neck. He opened the flip pendant that looked like a tourist souvenir, and pulled out a small memory card from under the decorative painting. The eldest brother smiled at me and showed his white teeth. Finally, I was caught. I realized that he had caught the wrong person. I don't know what you're talking about. It's given to me by someone else. Oh, really? He squatted down and looked at me. There are 6 girls with pendants. You are the most confusing and special. Me, what's the matter? It's very normal. It's quite humorous. The eldest brother suddenly reached out and grabbed my hair. The memory card has been found, so don't struggle to the death. Say, what other plans did the woman have arranged for you? What woman? My mind changed rapidly, knowing that I had been mistaken for the heroine, but I knew nothing about the cause and effect. I had no choice but to talk nonsense. I really don't know that there is a memory card in it. I just came here to find someone for my classmates. I think we've all been tricked. He also tried to divert his attention. How do you know that the other pendants don't have memory cards? The kidnapper, brother narrowed his eyes and observed my expression grimly. Who is the person who gave you the pendant? I didn't hesitate to throw the pot to party A. She and the new male protagonist have the highest favorability, and only she has the possibility of triggering the plot and turning the crisis into safety. The eldest brother was moved by me, and said viciously, "It's not hard to catch another verification, you'd better not lie to me." He walked out of the only exit of the warehouse and explained something to the people outside the door. And accomplices. At this time, the fourth male protagonist behind me, spoke. What is your relationship with Sister Fang Fang? Aren't you afraid of putting her in danger? I never expected that one day the name of party could be called so kind and cute. I tried to reassure him, we're classmates, don't worry, she might be able to help us get out of trouble. And I have a friend who is very smart. He must be able to detect the anomalies that I have worked so hard to create, and he must have a way to get out of school. But will he really come to save me? Seeing that I didn't follow up for a long time, Curland asked. So Sister Fang Fang asked you to come to see me, where is she? I laughed dryly twice. Actually, I heard that she has a very handsome boyfriend who came to watch secretly. Curland also laughed. Well, a sister named your father said the same thing as you before. Why is there a stirrer like her everywhere? 28 Curland sighed innocently. You have a good relationship. Then he waited quietly for me to speak. If I hadn't heard Qin Ziyan say that he had secretly entered the school to investigate, I would probably have been deceived by Curland's innocent appearance. But now, I know he is saying, what time is it? Put away your 800 hearts and eyes, and say something straight. He chuckled a few times, as if he regretted it. I was discovered by my sister. Curland narrated in a very calm tone. Sister Fang Fang is very good to me, but she is too good to be deliberate. After that, I saw the strange your father, and the lines she said when she first saw me were exactly the same as when Sister Fang Fang first met me. I went to your school and found several girls with the same pendant. The pendant may have been my mother's relic, and it was given to his daughter as something that was used as something for another victim in the accident. He asked me softly, so sister, can you tell me why there are 6 pendants? Who are you arranged for, and what do you want to do? Who would have thought that the mysterious number 4 male protagonist would be a meticulous white and black. I sorted out the information I just obtained, because I have played games. I know that the heroine's father once suffered an indiscriminate attack at the station and sacrificed himself bravely. So Calanda's mother was also killed in that accident, and her pendant came to the heroine by mistake, involving the heroine in a storm. The two were supposed to have a love script of mutual redemption and shared hardships. But because the heroine became 5, the situation became complicated, making the kidnappers and Curland mistakenly think that there was some shocking conspiracy inside. Party A. What a miserable woman. In order to go home, he dictated to show the attitude of Party B, kneeling and licking Party A. Thinking that he and Curland were going well. Who knew that people had long suspected it? I'm even worse. There is a debtor and a master. I, a great injustice, was not only kidnapped as the heroine, but also had to answer this series of soul tortures for Party A. The truth may be a bit outrageous. The world we live in is a game. You are the male protagonist, and Party A and a few other girls are the players. I explained the cause and effect to Colander. He was silent, clearly not believing. Actually, it's easy to verify, the 5 pendants are real, and the contents of the 5 memory cards are exactly the same. You will know when you compare it later. I couldn't help but explain for Party A. Your sister Fang Fang was not instructed. She approached you just to fall in love and clear the game to go home. And I'm here to stop you from being attacked, because once she succeeds, the world will start over. Start over? Since when? Curland keenly captured the word. And his tone became excited. I guessed that he was trying to prevent something happen to his mother, and I couldn't help but sigh. Since the heroine came to this school for the first time at the end of September. He stopped talking again, and we fell into a long silence. The warehouse was leaking from all sides, and in the weather in early December, it was as cold as an ice cellar. Kurland reached out from behind him with his tied hands and tried to untie the rope from my hand. But the kidnapper's technique is very professional. The rope buckle is strong and complex, and the pattern does not move. I felt his fingers burn amazingly. Do you have a fever? He smiled. Maybe. I've been locked up for more than a day. I'm sorry for putting you in danger. Who are the people who kidnapped us? Do you know what's in the memory card? I don't know. Kurland paused and pitifully changed the subject. Sister, I'm so cold, can I lean on your lap? In theory. His suggestion is feasible. We are all tied hands and feet, and we can only have two positions, sitting and lying down. I thought about it and felt that there was nothing pretentious, so I tried to move my butt to the side. Kurland leaned back, right on my knee. He looked up at me and smiled with a crooked eyebrow. I finally saw what my sister looks like. Current has a comic face that is so beautiful that it crosses dimensions. His grey blonde hair, dark pupils glowing with blues, and his eyes larger than ordinary people gave him an almost innocent youthful feeling. I immediately understood why Party A didn't discover his attributes, and was chased by such a beautiful brother every day to call his sister, who wouldn't be confused. I decided to take the initiative to break the barrier. How old are you? One sister at a time. 18 years old. Sister, I'm an adult. He winked at me and made me feel like I was being molested, before I could have an attack. He lowered his eyes again and asked quite lowly, Sister, do you think we will die? At this moment, he was sick, and there were obvious bruises on his forehead that had been beaten. I relented at once. No, you are the male protagonist. Then are you the heroine? No. Have you ever seen a heroine called Girl Number 23? Then have you ever seen a heroine named Party A? Is also true. Under the cold, the waiting process is getting longer and longer. Kurland raised his eyes and looked at me. Why don't I tell my sister a story? Although I don't know what is in the chip, I guess it's evidence that my uncle killed my dad. 29 Kurland recounted that when his parents were in divorce proceedings, his mother secretly installed cameras at home and his father's office in order to divide more property, trying to obtain evidence against her. One day his father died suddenly. She didn't even attend his funeral, returned to China overnight, and sent a message asking Kurland to buy a plane ticket immediately. But she was killed before she could tell Kurland. What kind of family relationship is this? I asked. Why didn't your mother call the police? These are just chips used in the game. What good is it for us if the stock price crashes? Kurlander sneered at the corners of his lips. It's incredible, isn't it? When you are in a century-old family business, a little equity dividend is a terrifying number, and family affection is just decoration. Do you know why I came to China after more than half a year? He continued. I was blocked at the door of my house by my uncle who came to hear the news that day, so I had to scold my mother cold-bloodedly in front of him, and asked him to find out if my mother killed my dad. I played so well that my uncle hugged me and comforted me, saying, chickens come home to roost. I came to the place where my mother grew up now, just to find out how they died and who is the one who will be evil and retribution. He paused. Nod your head and become my girlfriend and listen to my revenge plan. I scolded. Crazy, who did you learn from? He laughed. I see that my sister's expression is too serious, and I want to ease the atmosphere. Is what you just said true or false? His eyes were naturally innocent, but bottomless. Sister thinks it's true. I think it's 80 true, but Kurland refuses to continue telling that story. He asked with a smile, can I chase my sister? I didn't believe it. No, I have someone I like. Then I'll come back after revenge. You should have broken up by then. Get out of here. He was arguing with the little fox, who didn't have a few words of truth in his mouth, and the warehouse door made a loud noise and opened with a bang. The dust swirled in the backlight, and two long figures appeared at the door of the warehouse. One on the left and one on the right. Qin Ziyan and Yushor actually came together. 30 Qin Ziyan's eyes stopped on me and Kurland. and he had no intention of walking in. I suddenly realized that the position of Kurland lying on my lap was a bit inappropriate. It seems that Inging's accusations sounds in my ears. Pretend to be an NPC, and let the male protagonists around you. You sure did not hesitate, and rushed towards me in strides. I looked at him and couldn't help but think. I wonder if Chinziyan told him that I was a player. He slipped current aside. Who are you? Then he quickly untied the rope that bound my hands and feet for me. Xing Xing, don't be afraid, we have called the police, and the man at the door has also been beaten down. Kurland watched coldly and suddenly spoke. Are you the person my sister likes? Huh? You sure scratched his head, his whole face flushed. And then politely went to loosen the ties for Kurland. I looked at the door again, and Chinziyan was no longer there. My heart suddenly felt empty, and gradually turned into a sharp tingling. I gritted my teeth, got up from the ground, and chased out. This time, I didn't want to watch that back leave in place. Chinziyan didn't go too far. Hearing me calling his name, he didn't speed up his pace, but he didn't look back. I was tied up for hours, and my numb hands and feet seemed to be unfamiliar with each other. As I ran, I tripped over the garlic under my feet and fell to the ground. I was a little annoyed. Obviously if I ran a few more steps, I could catch up. A pair of familiar shoes stayed in front of me, and I looked up, and Chinziyan stretched out a hand to me, looking a little helpless. I grabbed his hand and stood up, and grabbed the corner of his clothes with my other hand. Chinziyan, give me a little time to explain. I'm a player, but I'm not like them. I'm dead. In the last few months, only the nurse watched me, and my dad never came to the hospital, and I secretly stopped the medicine. The joints of my fingers hurt from the force. I raised my face to look at Chinziyan, tears rolling down. So I have no place to go back, and I don't know if I will disappear with the bug. Can you ignore me? For the first time in my life, I tried to grab something with all my might. I like Chinziyan. I like the candy he puts in my palm. I like him smiling at me alone, and I like him just sitting next to me, which makes me feel infinitely at ease. In my heart, he is not a prince who needs to be saved. We are teammates who need each other and move forward side by side. He is not the sun, but the warmth he gives me is all he can give. At that moment, he held my hand back. Chinziyan's eyes were red. He pulled me into his arms, and rubbed his chin on the top of my head. Xing Xing, I won't let you disappear. At this time, you sure happened to help Kurland out of the warehouse. When he saw this scene, he was stunned in place for a while, then smiled bitterly as if he had expected it, and walked to us. You sure put his coat over my shoulders and punched Chinziyan lightly. Bastard. How can you make a girl cry? I will beat you next time. Then he dragged Kurland away without looking back. 30 and everything settled, and the 20 days of waiting for the Christmas ball became garbage time. As I studied hard for my final exam, time flew by and I finally reached the ending node of the game. The school's Christmas ball is quite gorgeous, and the male protagonists have also ushered in the peak of handsomeness. Luinja wore gold-rimmed glasses and a silver grey suit, looking elegant and noble, and hiding the male mother's temperament cleanly. He came into contact with my gaze, like a mouse seeing a cat, and quickly hid in the crowd, which seemed to have a considerable psychological shadow. Chinziyan walked to my side, blocked my gaze looking at Lao Lu, and looked like a smile. Your skirt is very beautiful today. Cheapskate. Chinziyan was wearing a white dress today, simple and elegant, so handsome that he didn't need to be carved, and his whole person was glowing. Yes. You sure took a glass of wine and stood on the other side of me. He grabbed the redhead on the back with hairspray, and in the black haute couture dress. The shirt was only buttoned down a few, looking wild and uninhibited. This time, my phone became lively. Kurland sent a plane ticket. Sister, see you later. Your dad sent a small video. The four heroines knew that the strategy was hopeless, so they simply didn't come to the dance party and made an appointment to go to the KTV carnival. They cried and laughed in the video, drunk and crooked. Your father said, tell Chinziyan for me. I hope I can wake up in my bed tomorrow morning. If you can't do it, Dad, I'll kiss him. I showed the video to Chinziyan, and he smiled and replied, okay, on my mobile phone. This time, the only heroine who didn't go to KTV, Asa Molioli, walked towards us. She was wearing the gorgeous dress that drew me into the pit, adorned with broken diamonds, like a dream. You sure can I dance with you? I promise not to say anything superfluous. You sure smiled gently at her. Okay. Under our obstruction from many parties, none of the heroines' favor meets the ending conditions, and even if they confess, they cannot succeed. But Asamolioli really did not speak in this dance, as she said, but just looked at Yushore and shed tears in obsession. She cried so hard, but she didn't take a wrong step at her feet, and she didn't know how long she had been practicing for this dance in private. At the end of the song, she said softly, "Thank you, Yushore. You are my most beautiful dream." Yushore shook his head. "I'm real, and your experience is also real, but the person you like happens to don't like you." After saying that, he felt that he seemed to be a little too much. So he made up for it. "I mean, you will meet someone who likes you in the future." For otome players who like paper people, there is nothing more precious than "I am not a dream." Lioli broke down crying unexpectedly, and Yushore was at a loss beside him. I couldn't help but sigh. Yushore is really gentle. Chinzian stretched out his hand and gently turned my face towards him. "Don't look at Yushore, look at me." I couldn't help but laugh. "Okay, Chin-san, do you want to have one last dance with me?" "Don't." He took 2 steps, bent down facing me, and made an inviting gesture. "This dance should be invited by me, and it will never be the last song." Amid the sound of light music, I looked up at my prince. Fate sees me pitiful. And I have had a rich dream in these 3 months. Now, the dream may be nearing its end. But no matter what the outcome is, I have no regrets. The last note fell, and Chinzian took my hand. "Let's go. I'll take you to see the secret I discovered in the last loop." And we came to the monitoring room on the top floor of the administration building. Chinzian skillfully opened the most central one of many computers, called up an interface, and a string of dizzying codes appeared on the screen. "What is this?" "It's the world we live in." In the rapidly swiped strings of codes, I saw the names of 5 players, with values representing favorability and game progress. I felt like I was being tricked. "Okay, Chinzian," I said, "why are you unhurried? You can modify your favorability by yourself, right?" He curled the corners of his mouth. "Yes, but isn't this useless? Then it's fun to watch me jump up and down to perform the show, right?" He touched my head. "I'm sorry, no one has ever protected me so desperately. It's so cute, I can't help it." He also explained, "Even if I can change my favorability, I don't want those boring plots to happen." I was angry and didn't want to pay attention to him. He asked me the question I was most concerned about. "Xing, do you want to see your own code?" He pointed to me. "This is a piece of code that appears out of thin air, with no favorability or progress bar. So I never found out that you were a player and regarded you as a gift from God. Xing, you didn't encroach on other people's lives, you just came to my world." The bell rang at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. Chinzian typed the characters that let several players end the game in turn. As the moment enter is pressed, countless codes grow on their own on the screen, and the rolling speed is dizzying. Then an error warning popped up as if overwhelmed. And the whole program automatically quit and disappeared on the computer. The clock is ticking, the distance is busy, and a world spreads silently but majestically from under our feet. And I, fortunately, stood in front of Chinzian. He leaned forward and kissed me. "Welcome to the new world, my girlfriend."